Okay, now that we've read through the sources, we're now moving on to what I consider the most important step in the synthesis essay, which is crafting your thesis and your three claims. So what you're going to do here is you're actually going to work backwards. First, you're going to come up with your three claims, and then you're going to make your thesis based on that. What you want to do is you want to cluster what you've read into three different categories. So in the case of what we've just read, the three categories that I came up with are: there are business and employment benefits to multilingualism, there are cultural and interpersonal benefits to multilingualism, and there are cognitive and educational benefits to multilingualism. So these will loosely be the three topic sentences that I will have in each of my three paragraphs. You can see also here I have two sources to back up each of these claims. You can also see that I use source A twice. I used it both in the first one and in the last one. It's not a big deal to use a source twice. It doesn't detract from your essay at all, but I wouldn't use it more than twice. I would say twice should be the maximum number of times you do it. It's better to kind of pepper it with a variety of sources. You can see here I didn't use source E. I could have actually if I really pushed myself, but I thought the others gave me enough information, so I was pretty much satisfied with those. So let's just have a look in terms of the sources where I'm getting these claims from. Okay, so starting with the first one about business, I've highlighted it here in red. It's when Haas said he countenances only a narrowly instrumental defense for foreign language learning limited to two rationales: national security and global economy. At the risk of schematizing his account too severely, this means more Arabic for national security and more Mandarin, Hindi, and en passant, Korean for the economy. So I can paraphrase that, which you'll see me do later, into Haas making a claim that second language, being multilingual, is great for business. I've also used source F as my other source. And if you look down here, it's this part here where it says, consider that the number of native Spanish speakers in the United States has doubled since 1990 and is spoken at home today by 37 million people. There is a vast and rapidly growing domestic Spanish language market. The US-based Spanish language broadcaster Univision is today the fifth largest television network by audience in the country. Savvy executives, clever executives doing business in Miami or California don't need to be told the value of hiring Spanish speakers. So you can see both of these sources contain a reference to the positive impact that multilingualism can have on a person's employment and business potential. Okay. The second claim I made, which was about cultural and interpersonal benefits of multilingualism, is supported by source C and D. So let's have a look at the sources and go back to that. So if I go up to source C, second, there you go. Kids studying their heritage language in informal schools on weekends, spouses and partners picking up the language of a loved one's family, right? So you can see here that this person is talking about the benefits of language in terms of understanding other people's culture, understanding your own heritage, etc. The other source that I used was source D. So let's have a look at source D. And you can see it here. And the correct connective cultural tissue created by the deep immersion in another language cannot be overstated. I mean, couldn't be more explicit. This author is explicitly stating that there is a connective cultural tissue created by deep immersion in another language. So again, I can use that as my kind of theme for that passage or that paragraph. The final one is that there are educational benefits, cognitive and educational benefits to multilingualism. So let's go back and look at source A, which is right at the top. And it's here towards the end. Students who do well in a second language do better in their first language, with the core language skills, abilities to speak and to listen, to read and to write, come higher order capacities to interpret and understand, to recognize cultural difference, and yes, to appreciate traditions including one's own. So you can see this person is talking about the sort of the mental / educational benefits to a person that accrue with knowing a second language. And coming back to our second source, source B, if you remember when we went through this initially, I said to you, you can use this. Learning foreign language is a pleasant form of intellectual self-improvement. Even this guy, who is pretty much an opponent of multilingualism and doesn't think it bestows any great benefit on the person, acknowledges that learning foreign language does have a sort of form of intellectual self-improvement. So he too acknowledges that it's also good for your mind. So based on that now, I have my three paragraphs and my 3 semi-topic sentences, and out of that, I can craft my thesis. Monolingual English speakers are at a disadvantage in today's world because business practices benefit those who speak multiple languages. They miss out on the culture the rest of the world has to offer, and they don't benefit from the educational benefits that learning a language often delivers. Now, I have a slight confession to make here. This thesis is taken from an actual response from someone who did this exam. It's the model answer, right? So I want you to see that this is not just my opinion on how to do it. It actually works. This was the exemplar essay which was given by the College Board, the sort of the excellent example on what to do. So you can see this student did exactly that. They clustered things into 3 different categories. They found 2 sources to support either, and then off that they built their 3 claims, and then off those 3 claims they had their thesis. And that's what you have to do. Honestly, if you've done this, this is 75% of the work for the synthesis essay. If you can come up with reading all the sources and coming up with your 3 claims and 2 sources to support each claim, you're 75% of the way there. Now it's just a process of writing it down. Okay, great. We're going to get on to that in the next video on exactly how you can begin writing it down. But probably before that, we will go into another essay, which is the 2014 exam, and talk about that and go through all the same steps at a slightly accelerated pace. Okay, great. I'll chat to you then.